Your birthday yesterday. How about if you lead us in the pledge to the flag, please?
You betcha. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate it. Your birthday yesterday. How about if you lead us in the pledge? What was that?
There's a recording. I heard your voice again, so I don't know where that came from.
Okay, let's go on. We only have one item on the agenda. Review and discuss the proposed list of properties for surplus. We've got the Egan Ranch, we got the Volpone Tank Site, the Volpone Booster Pump Station Site, the Mono Village Surface Water Treatment Plant, and the Gopher Tank Site. So Don, are you, you must have a presentation for us?
I'm gonna take the lead on this, and this is just very high level, beginning steps. To my knowledge, this district PUD has never surplus real properties like this. The district has a number of properties. I don't know if it's in the dozens or not, but it's quite a few pieces of property all over the place that we've inherited, either as TUD or our sister agencies or generations before us. So I just felt like I think we have felt for a few years it's probably time that we address this, because some of them may have a liability issue for us, and so that's one motivation factor. The other motivation factor, is you just feel like currently the market's high, property values are pretty high, and of course we're short on funds around here, and I just see if we can offload some of these properties, if there truly is no real need for them, it's a way to offload some of this property and protect our ratepayers a little bit, and then dedicate those funds maybe to a critical project that we have on the books. So I just think it's a good opportunity, I think, for many reasons to begin this process. Again, we've never done it, so I'm not sure what all the steps are, but hopefully through this meeting and some more meetings, we can get this thing figured out. The list of properties that I threw out there, a few of us, Matt's online, but a few of us got together and let's talk about these ones in particular. So what I can tell you a little bit about the Egan Ranch, if you don't mind, I'll just tell you what I know about each one of these pieces of property. The Egan Ranch is the biggest of all sites on here, and it is 79 acres. It's located near the old town of Stent. It's pasture lands for purpose of disposing of reclaimed water from the Sonora Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility. And there's a small stock pond on the property that's from storm water runoff. There's also a fairly sizable metal building shop out there. So I don't really remember the year we bought this. I do believe it was TUD that purchased the property. The reason it was purchased was for irrigating land. I think in hopes of irrigating on nearly all 79 acres of that land, but due to environmental constraints, really, you can't hardly irrigate out there at all. And there might be 10 or so acres that's really irrigable. So in the end, I don't know that it really, and TUD, I tried to make an attempt at irrigating out there in 2015 or 16. One of those years, maybe it was 17, but because we had excess water in ports. But the work that we went through and the expense that we went through to irrigate on there, it just, in the end, I don't think it was really worthy of that. So anyway, 79 acres, and it's a beautiful piece of property. If you've ever been out there, it's absolutely gorgeous out there. So I would imagine it would be highly desirable. The Volpone Tank Site and the Volpone Booster Station, that's from an old Volpone Water Company days. I don't know how many decades ago that was. I don't know if this came over PG&E or Volpone Regional Water District. I'm not real sure. But many years ago, after Volpone gave it up, it was intertied with the Sonora Jamestown system. in my mind, I'm not even sure we actually own the tank site. I just know that we had a tank there, and we no longer have a tank there. The tank was severely in bad shape, poor condition. It was leaking so bad here a number of years ago. We had to tear it down in an emergency, take it down in emergency, and we have now intertied it. It's all pressure, and Matt could probably tell you how. But anyway, the tank is, and the system is supplied by the Millville area, volume, water, and tank. So that's that piece of property, and down below that tank, up further, that's off of 108 and Golf Links down the Jamestown area, if I didn't make that clear. The pump station is also a really tiny piece of property. That on that piece of property was an old well that we've never used, and a booster pump station to pump water from the lower system up to the tank and then gravity back down. So the Mono Village Surface Water Treatment Plant, that's over here off Industrial
Excuse me,
Drive.
Don, where's the booster pump site at? Is it on right off of Golf Links as well?
It's not. It's Christopher Circle. Is that about right, Matt? What's the actual road? Anyway, yeah, it is also off of that Golf Links Road. You got to wind your way up there a little bit to really get to the site. Yeah, the Mono Village Surface Water Treatment Plant off of Industrial Drive, that came over in about 2007 or so with the acquisition of the Mono Village Mutual Water Company system. In the early days, we used that plant pretty regularly, if not constantly, but through interties and whatnot, that plant now hasn't run since probably 2010 or so, 2011. It's a full conventional treatment plant with a sedimentation basin, filtration system, and the like. Again, and that's one that I think, it looks like a pretty nice piece of property. I don't know the exact acreage off the top of my head, but it's pretty sizable out there. It's a pretty piece of property. But having that sedimentation basin still there, it poses a bit of a risk for us. And also on that piece of property is one of the wells. That was also a groundwater system. It had two sources of water: surface water from the ditch, and then groundwater from 7 different wells. Well, one of those wells is on that piece of property, very near that surface water treatment plant. And then lastly, the Gopher Tank site, which came over as part of the Gibbs acquisition in the early 90s from TUD. That surface water treatment plant was turned offline, again intertied in this case with the Columbia water system. What was left on that tank site was the old Gopher tank. Again, that tank failed prematurely. We had to take it down in somewhat of an emergency, but fortunately we were very far along in the new Shaw's Flat tank, and so everything worked out just fine out there. What's interesting about that piece of property is the district needed some land, wanted to own its own land for this easement. And so they approached the neighbor who lives up near there, and one way or another acquired this land, this small piece of property. Again, I don't really know the size of that piece of property, but it's not very big. I don't know if it's 100 feet by 100 feet, something like that. So that is the pieces of property that I wanted to talk about. And before I go any further, I come on pause and let everybody else chime in if you've got some questions for me.
Got any questions, Barb?
Yeah, I have a question about, first of all, I'm really glad that we're doing this. I see that, yeah, the biggest asset here, I think, is the Egan Ranch, obviously, in terms of prime, beautiful real estate. I was hoping the Betty West property would be on this because that's another big chunk. However, I'm wondering strategically, what the criterion really was that qualified these properties to actually remove them from our hands. It's a big decision, and I'm all for it. However, when it comes to let's say the Mono Village Surface Water Treatment Plant area, by the way, it's just a lovely piece of property. And when I go get my car worked on, or whenever I have to spend some time just hanging out, that's sort of my little office. I go down to the ditch there and I walk it, and it's about 10 degrees cooler in that area. And I just then began noticing that all the FOAC folks on leash walk all the rescue dogs. They have their poo mitt gloves. You know, I'm watching this, and then I also watch, there's this cat feeding station right there where some cat lady shows up and feeds the cat. And then there's also a lot of wildlife around there. And so where I'm going with this is looking at what our objectives are for TD, and looking at how do we get there? How do we work with the community? Is there an opportunity to partner on this property with Rotary Club, let's say, or some of our other wonderful service groups that help, you know, build a skate park, et cetera. So that's where I'm going with this piece of property. I would hesitate to put this one in the mix because it provides an enormous de facto unmanaged, if you will, sort of a recreational. I have not seen any homeless in there, so it hasn't been discovered by the homeless, which is good to know, because once they kind of settle in, it's tough to kind of roust them out. And so I would like TUD, as we move forward with our PG&E acquisition and looking at how we serve our community, our entire community, I would think this would be an amazing place for some managed recreation, partnership with FOAC, partnership with Rotary, bring this area into a public access. Yeah, get rid of the infrastructure that we no longer need, and certainly set up stuff. Anyway, I'm going way too many details here, but I guess I'm just saying, I think this has some potential opportunity for a good neighbor demonstration of how we support our community. And that's about all I want to say. And then the other ones I have no issue with at all. I think we could get a sizable sum. Of course, Jeff would know this much more than I for the Egan Ranch.
Sorry, guys, I had some difficulty. I had to log off and log back on. So
Yeah, I think you all did. Everybody in the building, we lost there for a minute or two.
Okay. So I think I catch the gist of what Barbara, Director Balin was talking about there. So thank you. And I think, was there any more questions for me or?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Okay.
Okay, so you mentioned there's about 10 acres that's really only we're able to actually disperse water on. Is that correct?
Right.
So are we doing that currently? Is that what we're doing, or we haven't been doing that?
No, we haven't done it. There's no permanent irrigation system out there. So when we irrigate out there, we have to rent pumps, rent pipes, set it up, and daily go out there and fuss with this thing.
Okay.
So we do not.
Is that the way we always did it, or did we ever enter into some kind of a lease or anything with anybody who might want to try? I don't know. I'm not familiar with the property, Don. So
yeah,
some of these
I left that out.
A little crazy.
I did leave that out. So again, TUD intended to irrigate out here, but on much more than the 10 or so acres that you can. For certain reasons, we couldn't. Mm-hmm. So occasionally over the years, when Quartz was overfull, we would run out there with all this equipment and really try to just use this land for disposal purposes. But a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of expenditure for so little water to actually dispose of. Historically, the land, that property has been leased out to different people over the years. It's currently under a 5-year lease that probably has a year and a half or 2 years left on it. And so what they lease it for is cattle grazing. So they bring their cattle in, graze it down, and that's that.
Okay. So So it's generating a little bit of income then, I would imagine, huh? Something?
Yes, a little bit. I forget exactly. It's not a lot, Jeff.
Yeah, that's
Um,
okay. I just, that answers my question. I just wanted to know if, what's the current status of it and what are we using it for now, if anything. So,
Yeah.
um,
One more thing, we've improved courts, right? So, well, will we ever need it again for the same reasons? Will courts ever fill and cause us issues? Well, can't predict the future, but I can tell you this district has put a lot of money in two things: improving courts. We have a deeper pool in courts to hold more water, pump more water out. And two, the Rich and the collection crews have really tightened up the collection system to reduce our I&I, which impacts courts anyway. So I think in many ways we're well saved, covered by that little bit of land that we've given up.
okay. All right. So just kind of in summary here, we got 79 acres. Roughly 10 acres is really the only part of it that makes sense to irrigate on, and the rest is, or virtually all of it's being currently leased for cattle grazing.
Right, for about $3,000 a year. Just got the message.
Did you? Okay, cool. All right, good to know. And Barbara's comments about maybe doing some recreation type stuff out there. On the face of that, I don't have any objection to that, but I'd want to see what it costs. I've said before, with all due respect to Barbara, I mean, we're a water and sewer district, and I'd really hate to see us get too far off of that and become just a branch of the Tuolumne County Recreation Department. Maybe the county would like to partner with us on something like that, or maybe they could take it over, Barbara, and then they could do that. That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because it's, it just worries me because that's not what we do. I mean, we're water and sewer specialists, and that's our wheelhouse.
I want to address that because I've been thinking a lot about that, because you're absolutely right. That's what our primary, that's what we do.
Mhm.
But how we get to where we want to go involves good neighbor policies and building relationships with our community. That's not our main focus. I realize that. But when you look at what we do is one thing, but how we get there is another. And we're going to inherit more recreational responsibilities, whether we like it or not. We're going to get hydro, whether we like it or not.
Mhm.
And so, again, these are all part of our wheelhouse. It's part of everybody else's wheelhouse now in California, like it or not. But I know it's not our main objective. This is what we do.
Mhm.
This is the what, but how is the building of partnerships and relationships with our community? Because if we don't support our community, how can we ask them to support us?
Mhm.
That's where I'm going with. I am focusing on our main goal, but this is part of the how. And if the county can, I mean, per capita, we don't have any parks at all, and that's what the locals want here.
Mhm.
They want to see more local places with managed recreation. I just sent Dawn some photos of, this is germane to the topic, I'm not straying off topic here. In Corvallis, it's a treatment plant on a tank site, and the photos are, they allow the public through. There is fencing on both sides, but the public can come through. There's there's passive signing that says, curb your dog and stay off of our property, but they've allowed the locals to go through and keep on hiking. That's kind of what I'm talking about, a mutually beneficial relationship where other people make the improvements and we provide the site, and the access and indemnification is managed by the county. I mean, those are all details, but if
So
other places can do it, we can do it.
So the county pays for it? They're the ones who foot the bill?
In Corvallis, you mean?
Yeah, in your example.
No, the water district fenced their area, fenced their tank site and fenced their treatment site with a cyclone fencing with a pedestrian friendly corridor. And in this case, they also have a huge hydrant that could also be accessed too. So they set it up so that there's a public pedestrian right away or corridor through there while their facilities are protected. And I'm assuming I don't know how Corvallis, I'm assuming that they have their own, the city owns and operates their own water treatment plant. But I've also noticed throughout that whole area, they allow managed public access through their facilities. And they allow the public to be the eyes and ears. There's no garbage, there's no graffiti, there's no anything. It's really locally neighborhood watch. So I don't know, to answer your question, I don't exactly know how they set it up. I mean, they, instead of just making one big huge fence, they just put two fences and allow the public to go through. And it's just an example of what I see everywhere else.
Mhm.
And I think it would also help take care of the Sierra Pine stuff too. Different way of looking at our facilities, that they integrate the locals a little better than I think we've been doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I agree. I don't want to spend our money on something like this. I want to partner.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to partner.
Yeah, it's all about the ratepayers and what they're willing to spend money on. And maybe they would be willing to spend money on that. Maybe they wouldn't, but that's a discussion for another day. But
Yeah.
okay, and then down to the Mono Village surface water treatment plant, Dawn. So that sedimentation basin and the treatment plant, roughly how many acres do you think that site is? Is it an acre? Is it 5 acres? 2 acres?
It's bound to be several acres.
Okay.
It's several acres. It's not giant by any stretch of the means, but it's got to be several acres.
So is it back there by the
Off Industrial Drive?
Yeah, by the transfer station there.
Yeah. So
Transfer station?
yeah. Across from the auto shop there.
Right.
Robillard used to have. Yeah.
So there could potentially be some. I mean, it's an industrial site, so it'd be in. That's how I guess we would, if we decided to sell it, that's how we would market it. Is it would be a potential commercial industrial type.
Yeah.
Would be interested in that.
I'm guessing so. I'm not a real estate guy,
Mhm.
so I don't really know. But like I said, it's just seems like a nice site to offload, make some money, and do something with it. But I just can't see another reason repurposing it for our needs, to be honest with you. So.
Mhm. And then the other 3 sites, the Volpone tank site, the booster pump site at Volpone, and also the Gopher tank, those are all pretty small pieces, correct?
Pretty small pieces, right? With adjoining properties, neighbors that may be interested in it.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because those are probably your potential buyers right there. The neighbors who might want a little bigger buffer zone between them and whoever's on the other side, maybe, fire break or anything else. So
again, if I wasn't real clear, the Gopher tank site, a neighbor there actually sold or deeded over the property to TUD in the early 90s too. So he may be, interested in having it back.
Mhm.
If we're not going to use it anymore. We do have some facilities in there, so we're still going to need a deed. We'll have some underground facilities we're going to need to keep and have an easement to access those. But other than that, we don't need it.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Barb.
Yeah, are those currently used as communication sites at all?
Ooh, good point.
Great question. No, they are not. Gopher's tank site was heavily used as some of our SCADA communication, but no, we've moved all of those facilities over to the new tank over at Shaw's Flat.
Okay.
Better location.
How about Matt and Steve? You guys got any comments on any of these?
I really don't have much to add. I know we've been talking for probably 10 years now about identifying all our properties and what might be considered surplus. Don and I were briefly discussing it recently, and one of the questions I'm unsure about is, the general premise is if these were purchased with water funds, then they would need to stay within the water fund. I'm assuming that's the case. Jesse Barton has talked before about, once we determine what's surplus and how we identify it and value it and market it, all that has to go through certain LAFCO procedures and certain procedures with the board. But past that, I'm not aware, like Don talked about, could we commit this to another water project? Could we commit this to something different? And we just have to investigate that. I'm going on the premise that, these would all be water related funds. I think it varies widely as to what the value might be. I mean, it sounds great to say, oh, we got 79 acres and everything else, but in terms of dollars, we don't have that information yet. And I don't think, we're looking at a giant sum here by any means, but I think this is just what Don started with. I think, if I'm correct, for discussion purposes, and like Barbara mentioned, there may be other sites that are more preferable or more valuable in that. But, this is kind of what I look at from the finance side as being a one-time event. This isn't going to contribute to our operating expenses year after year. This is kind of once a thing. Yes, we should look at, yes, we should determine the best use and whether or not to surplus it or not. But I'm not, particularly familiar with any of the sites, other than that, but that'd be my only input at this point.
Right. Just to be clear, Steve, the only one that's not a water system is the Egan Ranch. It's a reclamation system.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Don.
So,
Thank you.
we could, the reclamation system, the collection system is all, interrelated. So there could be a way to offset some of the costs to ratepayers in the reclamation system. So plenty of needs, but couple other things. If anybody's interested, any board members interested of a tour, if you haven't been out to these sites, I can take you there easily and show you around, so you have a firsthand look at them. I'll offer that. And then I have a list of bullet points of questions I think you would want us to bring back to you at a later date. So if you don't mind, I'll run through this bullet list and see if you all concur on this list of information, and then maybe add to or subtract from if you'd like.
Sure.
All right. So first, where is the property and what is it? Is it a water or sewer system? Why or how did we acquire the property? What was the purpose of the property? How long has it been since it's been out of service or unutilized? What, if any, liabilities are there if we kept the property? Is there any possibility TUD will need this property for future use or repurposed? Is there any expense to prep the property for sale? Is there any demolition required? How much would this cost? Are there any property title restrictions or issues attached to the property that would hinder TUD to sell it? What is the conservative guess of the actual property value currently? So, yeah. That's kind of seems like some obvious questions we can get to you on each one of these pieces of property. And, Barbara, you made me think that maybe you want to see a comprehensive list of all of the properties that we have and a map, if you didn't say this while I was offline. So, how about that too?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Always good to educate the board.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Sure. There's a particular piece of property, if you didn't know, out in Columbia, the old Columbia sewer treatment plant site. That off of North Airport Road, I think. It's beautiful out there. It's really beautiful, but it's I don't know if that's 11 or 15 acres. But anyway, it's out there. And in my estimation, it's a bit of a liability for us because there's some subsurface infrastructure still out there.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple more questions, Jeff.
Sure, go ahead, Barb.
Okay, the Egan Ranch, is that zoned public? Did we, or did you, do you know offhand, or did you mention that on your list of things to find out? I think the
did.
zoning,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. And then the other thing I would add is in terms of encumbrances or benefits, the standard, I don't know what the fire flow situation is in that standard area, but there is our ditch system runs between where the old dog bar, the old dog house used to be, and the Enterprise, or I guess it's the Bank of America now. And that is really, it's got amazing access, I believe, from Peaceful Valley Road and Mono for fire trucks. They can pull right out of that. And of course, it goes under the, Tractor Supply. But then it pops up again right behind the Tractor Supply. Okay. And that it's a cultural resource that's been, potentially eligible to the National Register of Historic Places. So that would be something we would want to place on this. And that, I guess that's why I think it would be great, like Jeff said, if we worked out a deal with the county, they've got an indemnification. We, get some kind of thing in there that also then protects the heritage and also for fire flow as well, because you can just back into that facility and draft right out of the ditch right there. I think there's a partial flume right there.
There is.
I think.
Right.
Yeah. And it's also really important because it feeds SBI and all that. So it's a really important link there. And we have, and fire protection has access to it. So we may want to put that in the list of questions we have about fire truck access points to provide additional non-treated, non-potable water for fire protection in that area.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, on that, excuse me, Barbara, did you have another question?
No.
Don, what street, what road do we access Egan Ranch on? Looking at a map here.
Stent Jacksonville, if you're heading out to Don Pedro that way.
Mm-hmm. And is it,
There's a road, I think it's called Egan Ranch Road.
Oh, okay.
Or Egan Road, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing that one come up, but okay, I was just trying. Oh, there it is. I got it now. Okay, yeah, I know where that is. All right.
Just side note, if it's interesting to you, I thought it interesting, but back the last drought we had, and we had all those welfares out there, we extended that main line out there, Port Stent area. Well, the very end of the line is right at that road. They're at the Egan Ranch Road.
Okay. Yeah.
Brand new, nice fire hydrant right there that wasn't there before.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned demo in your comments too. I would imagine there's probably some significant demo there at the surface water treatment plant at Mono Village, correct?
Yeah, yes, there is, but nothing our crews couldn't handle.
Okay.
Yeah, that sedimentation basin in particular, the building, the well, if you want, I didn't mention it again, probably should have for context. Are you there? Oh, camera froze again. Anyway, yeah, that well is dry. It went dry many, many years ago. There's not that it can't be, can't call on a well driller if they were available. It doesn't sound like they are to improve it, but anyway, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm about out of questions. How about you, Barb?
Yeah, I'm out of questions. Good discussion. Doesn't look like there's a lot of repurposing for the tank sites.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
communications are elsewhere, so we're not getting any passive income except the grazing at
Yeah, those
Egan.
pretty
Yeah.
small sites.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything to recommend yet at this point, except just to support staff moving forward and getting some of the details.
Yeah. How about you, Matt? You got any comments you want to throw out?
Yeah, I had one comment on the Gopher tank site. I've had some correspondence with the property owner, and I just want to let you guys know that he's expressed his interest in purchasing the property back.
Okay. And that's the gentleman or entity that deeded it to us in the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. All right. So what are you looking from us, Don? Do you want?
Yeah. So I guess first I appreciate the conversation. It's a starting point for us. You know, it's something we should have done for a few years now. I'm glad to get started on it. Among everything else, we do have the bandwidth. I've got the support of staff to help me go through this endeavor. So I guess I'm looking for the recommendation to continue to investigate all of these questions we have about these properties and a few more that you just added. And then maybe at a future finance committee meeting, bring back all of the answers to all of these questions, exhibit maps and aerial views and specific zoning and acreage and all of that. And I think the only thing I'll probably stay away from, because I don't know if that should be done in closed session, is actual value of property and things of that nature. I just feel like I'm not sure if that should be an open session or not. So what do you think? Is that okay?
I would imagine that'd be a closed session discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'd love to take you up on your offer too. I'd love to go tour these sites one of these days when you've got some time and we can sync our calendars up. I really would.
Yeah. Well, don't wait till I can find some time, because I won't. We'll make time.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So good.
Good deal.
All right.
Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
All right. Thank you, guys.
I'm
Appreciate
good.
it.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and adjourn the Finance Committee. I thank you all for attending. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dawn and Barbara and Steve and Matt for your comments. I appreciate it. And thank you, Melissa, for running it.